I am in such the mood for scary stories that I am very jazzed. I scoured the internet, meaning I scoured Reddit, and I found some really good, true scary stories. And I forgot my intro. What's up, rad people? How is your day going? I hope it's going splendid, and if it isn't, I'm really sorry to hear about that. I'm sorry, bud. But we're gonna go over some spooky stories of people in terrifyingly, like, paranormal, weird experiences. So if your day's not going that great, at least you're not these people. Unless you're also going through something like a paranormal scary incident, then I am really sorry, but leave it down in the comments below because we would all love to hear about it. But to maximize the spookiness of these stories, I want to turn the lights down low, kind of like what I did with the last video, but not that dark. I'm gonna try something else because it was just too dark and too scary, and my mind was playing tricks on me, and I was thinking there was things behind me from the viewfinder, so we're not gonna do that for my sanity. But if you also want to maximize the spookiness of these stories, find a chill spot, turn down the lights, you know, make a little cocoon, a little burrito of yourself, and let's enjoy these stories. Actually, real quick, before we dive into the spookiness of today's video, I want to let y'all know that I have a gaming channel called Get Rad where I like to play a lot of scary games. Too many scary games probably, but I also play weird games too. So you know, we explore the internet and what is offered to us. That was a weird way of describing it, but yeah, if you want to see it, there's a link down below to Get Rad, as well as something on the screen right now that'll take you to it, and come join the Rad fam over there. It's a fun time. It's a weird time. Things get weird. Okay, so with that, let's dive into these stories. Alrighty, I think this is dark enough, much better than last time. I can still kind of see a little bit, not really, to be honest. It's actually quite dark in here. Get my narrating voice on. My aunt loves physics and all that jazz. She visited one wearing a ring that her husband gave her. Oh, psychic, not physics. Oops. My aunt loves psychics and all that jazz. She visited one wearing a ring that her husband gave her. This psychic tells her, ooh, it's not your ring, it protects the owner. Blah, blah, blah. It's not your ring, it protects the owner? What? What does that mean? But my aunt's loving it and asks Jay about the ring. And he tells her that when they were young, him and his friend Pete used to jump through their neighborhood from the walls on the garden to the concrete porches. Just a little roof over the front door. They do every single house. Anyway, Pete did it one day and the porch collapsed and killed him. Oh, that's so tragic. The ring was Pete's dad's ring, and Pete's mother gave it to Jay to remember him. Oh, so that's like a sweet little token. And he gave it to my aunt as a sign of his love. It was really because he didn't trust himself not to lose it, and that she would look after it better than he would. Okay, at least he's honest. So Jay, who doesn't believe in any paranormal stuff, starts creeping my aunt out. They had this glass entrance door that was hung wrong so that when you opened it, it would slowly close behind you. And Jay would always say, "Thanks for closing the door, Pete." And then he would tell my aunt she couldn't sit with him because Pete was sitting there. And this went on for months and months, always saying thank you to Pete for closing the door and so on. So really just like keeping it up. It probably honestly became like a habit at that point, because if he doesn't believe in paranormal, he's not saying it because he sees like a ghost of Pete, I would think. But you know, that's kind of a cute way to keep a friend's spirit alive, I guess. But you know, this is a scary story, so things are about to get scary. Eventually the joke wears thin, and my aunt tells Jay to get the door fixed because it's really creeping her out. So he listens and he does fix the door. And eventually, as time went on, he forgot all about the joke in mentioning Pete. Well, that's really sad. Fast forward a few months since fixing the door, and Jay takes some bits of her jewelry to be cleaned, and it reminds him of Pete. So when he walks through this glass door that day, he just says, "Thanks, Pete." And then the door slammed shut and broke all the glass. Okay, someone's not happy. Jay believed from then on that there was something paranormal happening. He replaced all the glass doors in the house, and now he makes sure to talk to Pete every day because he thinks it was him stopping talking to Pete that made him smash the door out of anger. When my aunt found out, she insisted they move. Well, that's a conflicting story. I mean, scary. Don't get me wrong. A ghost that's temperamental, that slams things and can break things, spooky. Would not want that in my house. No, thank you, sir. The fact that it's possibly like the ghost of like his friend, and that's the only incident of something, you know, negative happening from that relationship, I don't know. That just makes me sad. Like, as I've said on this channel lots of times, I'm not one to say if the paranormal exists or not. I just really enjoy talking about it. But in an instant like this, like if this happened to you, like if this happened to me, I think I would be a believer for sure. Just because like the coincidence of it, ooh, a little too spooky. But also, while I feel bad for the ghost, like the boy, I'm kind of on the aunt's side. I don't think I'd want to stay in a house. No, thank you. Nope. I'd always think, what's gonna happen if I make him mad, or he just gets a little bored one day. Yeah, that's spooky. So now let's move on to the second story. Once in high school, I was babysitting. Ooh, right there. Love babysitting stories. Something about like the old school horror movies as well as like the urban legends about babysitting. They're spooky. I love them. But back to the story. Once in high school, I was babysitting a teacher's kid with my ex, and the parents were super late, so we decided to stay in the living room, even though the TV and such was downstairs, so we could leave as soon as they got back. They lived in this huge house overlooking the woods. Too spooky for me. And they had big windows installed throughout the home. At about 12:30 a.m., I started getting annoyed, so I gave the parents a call, and they said that they were on their way back and that they apologized for being late. By this point, the huge windows were really starting to freak me out, but whatever. I was with my boyfriend and the parents were on their way home, so there's no point on causing a commotion, which I totally get, because like during the daytime, those windows I'm sure are gorgeous. I would love to be in that house, but at nighttime, y'all, windows freak me out. A few minutes later, we heard the doorknob to the garage jingle. Okay. We thought it was the parents letting themselves in at first, but it continued to jingle for about 20 seconds and then suddenly stopped. I started freaking out and walked towards the kitchen where the door was and glanced through the window that overlooked the deck. Y'all, I have goosebumps. I'll never forget it. There was a strobe light as well as a silhouette of a man standing in front of it, so he was visible, and he was just standing there. That causes a shiver to go down my spine. I started panicking, basically, and the light just stops blinking suddenly. My heart had pretty much stopped at that point. I assumed he had just left after that, but I called the parents and they were still 20 minutes out, so it couldn't have been them. So all rational thinking is out the window. If it's not them, who the heck is in this isolated area with a strobe light and standing in front of the door at the right time? Oh no. When I told the parents about what happened, they informed me of their war veteran neighbor who would apparently wander the property at night and may have viewed me as a threat for some reason. Why they didn't tell me that beforehand or tell him that I was going to be there, I'll never know. But hey, I got paid, though not enough to even go back to that house ever again. Well, I mean, you have a conclusion. That's nice. Wasn't a random person, wasn't, a stalker or serial killer or a ghost. So I would be happy about that conclusion. But also, why are they okay with their neighbor just wandering their property, looking into their doors at night? That's a little weird. That's a little unsettling. But you could argue that neighbor, maybe is going through something and has the best of intentions. I don't think I would say that, but I guess you could say that. It is so sweaty in here. I thought I sweated so much talking about scary things or playing the scary games I do over on Get Rad, my gaming channel, again, link down below. I thought it was like because of my room being hot with the light on and, being on camera. But no, I really do think it has to do with like being scared, and I think my heart rate just like increases and then my body temperature increases and then I just become sweaty. So I just felt the need to share that with you. My scary stories are about my haunted house. Haunted houses are my favorite. It's a semi-detached 80-year-old ex-pit house in a quiet North English town. Totally unremarkable, but definitely haunted. Oh, definitely. Roughly a year after moving in, I'd be about 10 at that point, I was on my way upstairs to get a book whilst my mother was in the kitchen. I reached the upstairs corridor and staring directly forward at my sister's bedroom door, and I fumbled for the light switch. I never reached it though. There was a girl who stood in front of the door and she waved at me. Oh, hell no. That is so scary. Little girls are so scary. Little ghosts just in general are scary. Oh, no. She stood in front of you, in front of the door. Like, what would you do? I know what I would do. I'd go back downstairs screaming at my mom, crying. Oh, and then no one would believe you because you're a little kid and little kids have overactive imaginations. Okay, yeah, that's spooky. I screamed, fell down the stairs in my attempt to get away from the ghost, or the little girl, and then launched myself into my panicked mother's arms. I instantly burst into tears and then fainted. Okay, well, fainted? Probably should go to the doctor about that. Make sure that's not something underlying health issue. But burst into tears, very relatable. Yes, that is an appropriate response, I would think. Even if it's not like a little ghost girl, who the heck is it? I would be equally as afraid of just a random kid being in my house when they shouldn't be, standing in the dark in a doorway. That's weird. Being in this dark room, talking about little ghost girls. Ooh, okay, I'm scared. And then there's a second story that this user includes about their experience. I was about 17 years old, and I was waiting for my dad to come home. I was busy in the kitchen making him dinner. I'd been feeling nervous and uncomfortable all the time I'd been cooking recently. Oh, girl, okay. But I put it down to the stress of my upcoming exams. Again, trying to rationalize it, makes sense. As I bent over the sink, I'm afraid to read the next line. I felt with remarkable distinction the sensation of 4 slim fingers pressed against the back of my neck, whilst their accompanying thumb brushed my ear. Oh, hell no. Oh, that's scary. I grabbed my dog and went and sat in the front garden until my dad came home. There are many more stories, but these are just a few. I am so sorry you had to grow up in such a creepy house. I worked at a campground on night shift. Oh, that's setting spooky vibes right away. It was from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. every night. And to be honest, it wasn't bad. I would bring in my PS2 and game a good portion of the night. That's smart. Only having to deal with maybe 1 or 2 people on busy nights. Okay, honestly, right away, it sounds like my dream job. Never mind, I put up with the spooky vibes for that situation. It was just me in this little 8x8 shack with nothing around but dark all night. My first week there, the other third shift guy who was quitting told me about his payphone a few feet from the shack where I worked. He said it rang every night at 4:17 a.m. exactly. I don't know why, just saying that gave me goosebumps. And apparently the phone would ring only once. Okay. It was probably just an automated test call, he guessed. He's never answered himself though. Really? The curiosity wouldn't get to you? Like, I want to know. I would answer that phone. It was in the middle of summer, so most nights I had the windows closed, so I wouldn't hear the payphone if it did go off. Mid-August, I started leaving the windows open during the night. Sure enough, at 4:17 a.m. every morning, the phone would ring once. The ring even sounded creepy, like the payphone was submerged in water and then put where it sat. Okay, yep. That's spooky. Imagine that'd be very jarring, right? Like if you're not watching the clock, you lost track of time, and then all of a sudden to hear a singular, like, creepy ring. No. That's a horror movie scene right there. Maybe it's smart that the other person never answered the phone, because maybe it's like a serial killer trying to lure the person out. Just a thought, but let's find out. One night I got the nerve to answer it. I set an alarm at 4:15 and would go wait at the phone until it rang. When it did, I answered it, but there was no sound. Just dead air, like someone was on the other line but wasn't answering. Okay, what would you do? Would you run? Would you quit? Would you hide? I don't know. I said hello a few times and then eventually hung up. I did this every night for a week with the same results. Okay, again, that's dedication. I would have gave up after the one because, I just really wouldn't want to know past that point. I didn't think anything of it and left it alone for about another month. The first week of October, though, I decided to answer the phone once again. I set my alarm, and when the time came, I answered the phone. Hello? Hello? Then I heard what sounded like someone inhaling through their clenched teeth. What does it even sound like? Okay, that's what it sounds like. Very menacing. The voice sounded rough and sounded like he had gargled gravel. Okay, thank you for that. Then he said my name, my complete name, my complete full name. First, middle, and last. What? It was a voice I had never heard before. My voice caught in my throat and I hung up quickly. I rattled some change into the payphone and hit *69. The number had come from California. I was in Indiana. Since he said PS2, I'm gonna say pretty confidently that this was smartphone, everything being on the internet and easily accessible, So, how the heck? Unless it was somebody who was just so bored and so dedicated to a prank that they spent months, if not years, calling this number, hoping that someone would eventually pick up, and then they would somehow be able to research who was working there. I would never feel comfortable ever being there alone ever again. Yeah, I think I would quit that job. It was good while it lasted. It was a good summer job. Deuces, I'd be out of there. No thank you. I'm not saying I'm super freaked out right now reading all these scary stories in the dark, but like I am, and you know, I'm kind of happy that this is the last story. But I did happen to possibly save the best for last. Well, I think it's possibly the best for last. You tell me if you think it's the best. I had just moved into a new city and was living on my own for the first time ever. I worked late night shifts at my job and rode a bike from a far distance. It was about 1 a.m. and I was riding my bike home when I began to approach the local elementary school. The school was on the opposite side of the street, lit up from the inside with those orange lights they turn on at night. As I began to approach the school, I noticed something strange. I couldn't really make it out at first, but something seemed off. Oh no, what was it? Oh, that's scary. Schools are unsettling at night. Have you ever been at school at night all alone when you're not supposed to be? That's scary. I got locked into a school once. That was terrifying. Luckily I was with somebody though, so it wasn't that scary, but it was very unsettling when you go to exit and there's no one there and then the door is locked. I stared hard, trying to figure out what it was. I was squinting to see it better as I got closer and closer to the school. Then, as the school was directly across from me, I saw it. A little girl standing inside the school at 1 a.m., all by herself, staring out the door at me. Okay, y'all, I'd be pedaling so freaking fast, get my cardio in, get home. Oh, no. I flipped my stuff and pedaled my butt off. After a few moments, I kind of got a grip of the situation and looked back over my shoulder to see if she was still there. And there she was, still standing on the sidewalk, staring at me. I rode home like a bat out of hell and avoided that street like the plague for the next few weeks. Then one day I worked a day shift and I figured, hey, it can't hurt to bike down that street during the day, right? So yeah, turns out during the day, they have these 2 wooden cutouts for kids they put on to mark the crosswalk. At night, they store them just inside the door. I had seen the one inside the school and not noticed the one that apparently was forgotten and left outside until later when I looked over my shoulder, making it appear as if the same child had been in both spots. That made the story so much scarier. I thought they mistyped or didn't realize that the kid was outside instead of inside, but they thought the kid came outside and was coming in their direction. Oh my god, that's so much scarier, but then also really funny. See, I told you I was saving the best one for last, right? I wanted to save this one for last because I thought initially it was really spooky and then the ending got me, because we've all been in that situation before, right? Where you have experienced something that in your head you made it to be you got freaked out, you psyched yourself out, right? That you thought, oh my god, I just saw something. There was something in the corner of my eye. There was a man standing in my doorway, or there was something I saw out the window. And then when you go to check, there's a completely rational explanation, and then you just feel like the biggest doofus on planet Earth. Well, know that you're not alone, and this person probably peed their pants on this one. So feel better next time this happens to you. Well, with all those stories, I am sufficiently sweaty and scared, and I'm totally ready to turn all the lights back on and turn on Netflix and forget about these scary stories before I go to bed, hopefully. But that does it for today's video. I hope you liked it, and if you did like it, let me know down in the comments. What did you like? What story did you like? Do you have your own true scary story that you would like to share? Because we would all love to hear it. So definitely do that. And again, don't forget, I have a gaming channel, Get Rad, where I play some spooky games, so the spookiness does not have to end in this video. If you want to keep that spooky train going, head on over there. There's something on the screen as well as down below. Come find me at Get Rad. Again, great self-promo. But until next time, keep up the radness and try not to have too many nightmares. Bye.